As you can see, we have a very small yard. We don't have a whole lot of space. But we have definitely a lot more space than some people do. And there's a lot of opportunity here. So we've only been at this house a year. It looked nothing like this in the backyard. When we were here, there was definitely no foliage. There was no grass. There was no chicken coop. No garden boxes. There wasn't anything back here. So in 1 year, I think we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. What we have been able to do is we've put in this chicken coop. I have 4 chickens in here. The first one out is always Nugget, usually followed by Roosevelt. Roosevelt's the Plymouth Rock right there.
Mama.
You can see the difference in the size between Nugget and Roosevelt. Nugget has what's called a scissor beak, where it's a genetic disorder where her beak actually is crossed. So she has a very hard time eating, and she's, as a result, she's grown to be a lot smaller than the rest of the chickens. This is Yellow. Yellow is my son's favorite chicken, and Yellow is absolutely terrified of my son. When Yellow was a baby, my son would put him on top of a car, or on top of like a little Hot Wheel car, and roll him around, and Yellow put up with it. You know, she didn't really seem to have too many issues with it, but she's learned to become very cautious around people, and especially my son. Roosevelt is my daughter's chicken, and Roosevelt is very sweet and very kind. She loves to be held. She's super fluffy and soft and silky. Nugget is probably the favorite because she always comes out and she never really runs away from being touched. She just wants to eat. But you'll see if I go to pet Yellow, she runs away. There's an aloof one in the back. That is, oh, she just ran in. That's Foxy. And Foxy is my chicken, and Foxy does not like being held. I didn't do anything to her. She has no reason. She's just, that's just her personality. But she rules the roost back there. Roosevelt says hi. Here, Roosevelt, can I pet you? Can I pet you? It's like, maybe later. But she loves to be held. There's something about chickens that I like. When they're running around the yard and stuff, it's a lot harder to like them because they don't really listen. It's kind of like herding cats. You know, trying to get them all go in the same direction is a little bit difficult. Yeah, you like chickens? But honestly, they're the easiest animals. I really enjoy having them. They're such sweethearts. Let me show you the inside of their coop over here. I do have their water inside right now, and I'm working on getting them a different water system. I clean their cage out about once a week. There's a lot of poo that ends up being in that cage, or in the back of their coop. They like to roost on the top bar all together, snuggled. So there's a lot of poop on the bottom. Before I put in their coop, I was very cautious about how I built their coop. I did build the frame, and I did make sure that there was lots of brickwork. One of the benefits of having all the brick is not only does it keep out all the predators, but it also allows the chickens to sharpen their beaks. They're not running around in the yard. I have a ton of hawks, turkey vultures, coyotes, foxes, you know, ground squirrels. I have dogs, I have kids, so we don't allow the chickens to run out in the yard freely. So they don't have the opportunities like many other backyard chickens would have to sharpen their beaks, so giving them the bricks is a good opportunity. I also built in the underneath of their coop where they can go and get some shade. And I also planted 2 citrus trees to give them some shade. Once the trees start growing, they're already shading the coop a little bit from the sun. And then I put the coop in such a way that when the sun shines, it'll hit the top parts of the coop first, and then provide some shade to the chickens down below. Here's the other citrus tree. And then here's one of my garden boxes. There's zucchinis, crookneck squashes, cucumbers, and watermelon. The watermelons we grew from seed, so they're a lot smaller. The cucumbers are definitely being crowded by the zucchini and the crookneck squash. But one of the benefits of having multiple plants like this is that you get shade from the taller plants onto the smaller ones. So I think next year I'm definitely going to plant them not so close together, but I'm going to plant the taller ones down to the smaller ones just like this again. I have 3 bins where I'm growing potatoes. They take about 110 days to sprout from a potato into a potato crop. So I'm on probably week number 4 right now. So hopefully in a few months I'll be having a great potato crop. The trick to these is to keep the leaves or the stems covered. So as you can see, I have a little bit of covering up work to do on this one. But they don't end up growing all the time. I have this one bin over here where nothing is grown, so I have an opportunity to plant some new potatoes there, or maybe some garlic, or another crop like that. My garden boxes, I did learn that full sun doesn't necessarily always mean full sun. These are pepper plants, and they are not much bigger than how we bought them from the store. The reason why we bought them from the store instead of growing from seed is because we did end up planting late this year, and we didn't take the opportunity when we had it to grow them from seeds. But the plant that's doing really well over here is these onions. They don't seem to mind the direct sun at all. They seem to actually really enjoy it. So I think I'm just going to plant root vegetables over here next year, and then move the pepper plants to a more shaded area. So as you can see over here, I have the same issue with my pepper plants. These are actually sweet peppers. And the peppers we got from the sweet peppers are probably about the size of a whole dollar. Like, they're very small. We didn't even get a chance to eat them. You know, they weren't good. So the smaller pepper plants, like the hot peppers, do better. And then the sweet pepper plants, they need more shade. And they have plenty of water, so. And then this is my herb box. I think next year what I'm going to do is I'm going to have several boxes about this size.
Mama!
Oh, you put the tomato in there?
Chicken liked it.
The chicken liked it? They do like tomatoes. The kids love having the chickens here. It's a really good opportunity for them to learn about where their food comes from. So next year we're going to be having several boxes this size, and I'm only going to plant 1 herb in them. And then I'm going to take some of the soil out. As you can see, I have this grating over the top. That's mostly to keep the dogs and the kids out of it. But I think that it made it so that they couldn't grow as high. And they weren't, you know, reaching for the sun as much as they could be, so they didn't grow very big. Eventually all this will be garden box too. Just haven't gotten around to it yet. We do have some plants in pots. I tried growing a blueberry bush, and it didn't do very well. So we're just trying to figure out, you know, our yard. Over here we have lots of tomatoes, we have citronella, we have 2 fruit trees. The fruit trees we planted yesterday in here. They were in pots. We planted them in the soil. They're not going to stay here, but we're going to give them some time to grow big. And then we'll find a new place for them. I do have, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a little tomato plant coming up over there. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tomato plants. Most of these plants, we didn't put in the ground. My son actually picked last year's tomatoes, threw them into the dirt, and they grew themselves, such as this one. My daughter planted some cucumbers, and they're so little, but they're growing, I guess. So she planted these little teeny tiny cucumbers, and then in the middle of that is this fabulous tomato plant growing up. So we'll have to see what that turns out to be. I'm not quite sure when it ended up coming over here, but all these little tomato plants sprouted up in this part of the yard. And eventually we'll have where the play set is, that'll all be garden. And we'll have a really nice really nice thing going for us. I think what I wish is that we had enough room to put more animals. You know, I'd love to have a goat. Actually, what I'd really love to have is a cow, but that's not going to happen out here. But I don't think we have enough room for a goat or enough time right now. We have a lot of stuff going on. So best just to have our little chickens, keeping it small, and then eventually work our way up.